Nogle, you need to chill out, bro.
And when I get salty, I've always remembered. I'm at a fabulous party. With my wonderful friends. Our marvelous costumes. We're having an amazing time. All right, thank you very much. Immediately following this. No, don't clap. You don't clap for a safety brief. I already know I'm the best at my job. So, immediately following this.
The wise words of Joshua Warren, one of the main figures behind Milsim West. If you've ever sent a bonus BB to a player after he's called his hit that like button for me. If you have ever knowingly let a BB bounce off you and looked around to see if anyone saw it so you can shrug it off, well, you're a terrible human being and you shouldn't be playing Airsoft, but please hit that like button anyways. So that last part about shrugging hits, that seems to be the main focal point of all Airsoft arguments, complaints, accusations, rage quits, and fights. Mostly.
Nice! Still all of that guy? Yeah, he burned my patch. He burned your patch?
Anytime I find myself being flustered, it can almost always be attributed to being pretty darn sure that I shot a guy that no taking his hits. That, or the always awesome close-quarter shot exchange that involves a tactical genius that barges through a doorway knowing full well that the enemy on the other side of the threshold knows exactly where they are and they're about to run through that doorway like gangbusters and thus have multiple barrels aimed at the fun funnel, but they kamikaze their way in, shooting until they have at least shot 2 people knowing damn well they got clipped a dozen times the moment they breach the plane of that corner. I mean, come on, man. What are you thinking? This is a no-win scenario for you. Call your hit, man. Call your hit.
And when I get salty, I will always remember. I'm at a fabulous party. With my wonderful friends. Our marvelous costumes. We're having an amazing time.
Noble, you need to chill out, bro.
Alright. So anyhow, hit shrugging, or cheating, is usually the main culprit. And it can be super frustrating. I've been there, you've been there. I've been accused of shrugging, have had to inform a buddy that I saw a BB bounce off him, and sadly, have been informed by a friend that they saw a BB bounce off me. So how do we deal with this? How should we deal with this? At the end of the day, or at the end of the game rather, it's going to happen. That's just Airsoft. It's part of Airsoft. As much as nobody wants to admit it, shrugging and hit calling, or rather lack of hit calling, is part of Airsoft. There are many reasons for it. The biggest factor that plays into it that I have seen is when players are in full sprint or running. With all the gear we wear slapping around, the noise and the sloppy commotion of it all, it takes a lot of BBs for them to fill it while they're in motion. Now the minute they stop, the BB hit starts to register. I've seen this at countless indoor CQB fields, at Milsim events, and even just regular weekend open plays.
Tango down.
Another bad side effect from not calling hits and ruining the overall good time and the spirit of the game, because people are used to other players not calling hits, they overshoot. I've been overshot tons of times when I would have called it in the first 2 or 3 BBs for sure. And a lot of people come from different fields and different regions of the countries where overshooting is kind of a necessary thing. It's faster paced, and you need to make sure that those BBs are registered quickly, so you give them bonus BBs, as we call it. In some parts of the world, they actually, it's like a pain game almost. They shoot to the point where you've been shot enough and then you finally call yourself out. It's pretty crazy, to be honest. What I really don't want it to come to is to see referees in orange vests walking around during a Milsim event calling other people's hits for them. I hope that we're all adult enough and grown up enough to call our own hits. But in some places, that's exactly what they do. You guys getting good shots? A very quick but important side note, obviously this video is focusing heavily on the issue of hit calling in Airsoft. While it might not be prevalent in your Airsoft game, this is more of a discussion video on how to handle it and how to keep on having fun, which is the point of Airsoft, if or when you should encounter hit calling when playing Airsoft. We're smoked, homie.
Spicy!
When it gets cold, it can get even worse, because now we are layering up and adding even more barriers that prevent the nervous system from registering a hit. A really important part of hit registry is listening for that distinct thwack sound. Thwack. When a BB smacks against a chest rig or a plate carrier or even a loose piece of clothing, the sound is very distinct. There are plenty of times I never felt the BB but could definitely hear it. Which brings me to this WTF, I don't know if I can live on this earth anymore moment. How many of you have called a dude out for shrugging and he stops, looks you dead in the eye, raises his arms for your inspection, and boasts,
I don't have any marks on me, bro.
I'm serious, I can't make this up. I've seen it. So going back to it, how should you deal with it? You should just accept it as part of the game. I always say, if you can hit them once, hit them again. Don't call their hits, call your own hits. Don't ruin the spirit of the game, and just make sure you're having fun. It's really easy to get caught up into it. You worked really hard for that kill. You know you're landing BBs on them, but they're just not registering. Just keep going. You'll get them again later. Don't worry about it. Do the best you can to call your hits and help your friends and battle buddies call their hits as well, because sometimes at distance they might not hear or feel it. Also, another big thing that people really don't want to take into account is the overall limitations of airsoft guns themselves. You might not be hitting anything and swearing to yourself that you are. Remember, these things can't shoot that far, and the accuracy isn't always there. And a BB that's traveled its maximum distance, sometimes it's really hard to feel anyways. So I get it. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Make sure you're having fun. Again, call your own hits. Don't call theirs. Enjoy the game. I think this whole honor system that we all hold near and dear to our hearts will sustain and play on for many, many more BB wars for years to come. What do you do in a situation like this when you get frustrated, when you're pretty sure you shot somebody, but they're not registering? I'd love to hear your guys' stories and opinions out there, and I want to know what your take on the matter is. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Another quick note, I'm pretty sure the reason my gun kept jamming up is because I had my speed loaders on my chest rig and I belly crawled earlier in the day and I think I got some dirt in there, and my tie bores just couldn't handle being any more tighter.